So I was looking for short squeeze stocks on the Finviz stock screener, and there is one stock in particular that was jumping off of my screen. It was absolutely screaming at me as like a clear-cut top choice for potential short squeeze, and I just had to make this video for you guys to show you. I also want to get your thoughts down in the comments below. Let me know what you think about this stock. So let's get into it. We're at finviz.com. You click on the screener button right here. We're going to go over to their screener, and to look up short squeeze stocks or heavily shorted stocks, you go to this section right here, float short, and you want to set that to something pretty high. I like to do 25%. You could do over 30% if you want to get a smaller list, but I like to set it to 25. So once you have that set to whatever you want to set it to, 25 in this case, you're going to click on this tab right here, ownership. All right, once you have that tab selected, you now have a list of all stocks in the stock market that have a float short over 25%. And now with the ownership tab selected, we can sort it by the float short. So we're going to click this twice, and you now have the most shorted stocks in the entire stock market sorted to the top of your screen right here. So the very top one being the most shorted stock, the number one most shorted stock in the whole stock market right now. And that is GFAI, or Guard Force AI. If you've never heard of that company before, there's pretty good reason for that. It is a tiny company, and it's very new as well. I'll show you that in a moment. But with a market cap of $34 million, that is just absolutely tiny when we're talking about publicly traded companies or stocks in the stock market. So that's why you've probably never heard of this, unless you've already been tracking short squeeze stocks for the last day or two, which if you have, then you may have just discovered this like I did. Anyway, the reason that this is just absolutely jumping off the page is this percentage right here. Float short over 100%. Are you kidding me? This is the kind of stuff that, if you remember when GameStop and AMC were just going hyperbolic short squeeze, they had short ratios or short interests above 100%. For example, I mean, just look at the next closest stock in the stock market. The entire stock market is at 69%. It's a huge gap. And then you have a bunch of stocks here that are at that 40% and below, right? But we're talking about over 7,000, 8,000 stocks in the stock market, and the number one out of all of those over 100%, and there's nothing else even close. It is just astronomical, this float short percentage. So that's why it really just jumped off the page for me. And the fact that it is absolutely tiny of a company, that makes the potential for a short squeeze even more. Generally, the smaller a company is, the more volatile it is, right? So bigger companies are going to move slower, smaller companies are going to move faster, right? There's going to have those swings in price are going to be more wild, right? So let me pull up the chart and show you what I'm talking about here, GFAI. So we'll go over to TradingView and we'll just type that in, GFAI. Of course, we need to go to stocks, not crypto. So GFAI, Guard Force, we can pull it up. You can see the chart there's not even a whole lot here because it is a new company. They went public right here. Down at the bottom of the screen, you can see 29 September 2021. So we're talking about 7 months. It's been public for 7 months now, less than 7 months. So not a whole lot of time to really have a chart develop, at least with daily candlesticks. But you can see it's trading in the $1.61 range right now. It's really small, price per share. It's a tiny company, like I said, at $34 million. I guess after it went up today, it's now been updated to $46 million. Still, still very tiny though. So Guard Force, very small company, very small share price. So if that's kind of your thing, penny stocks, you like getting into stocks with tiny share prices, this could be a great penny stock to own for the short term. Not financial advice, but I'm just showing you guys kind of what my thought process is here. I did buy into a position on this today. Well, at the time that I post this, it'll have been yesterday, right at the end of the trading day, as I was kind of discovering this information. As soon as I saw this, I spent about 5 minutes doing just a little bit more research on this company, and then I immediately bought in because these short squeezes can happen so quick. I wanted to get my money into this company as quick as possible. And with this short ratio being this small, normally I'm looking for short squeezes that have a very high ratio. That means that it takes a very long time for the short squeeze to happen. Once it started, in this case, for example, FUV, it would take 14 days of shorts getting squeezed out of their position, so it could just keep climbing and climbing. With this being at 0.49, that means it would only take half a day for all of the shorts to get out of their positions based on volume. So very short amount of time if a short squeeze was going to happen, so I wanted to get in as soon as possible. But that also means that you have to really stay on top of this position. You have to pay attention to it constantly throughout the day, because if the short squeeze happens, like I said, it could happen very quickly, and then you could start to see that price really retrace very quickly as well. And you can kind of see that in these candlesticks, how they just kind of explode and then they retreat back a lot very quickly. For example, 2 days ago, opened the day at, looks like 149 or 150, got all the way up to 197. You're talking about a 47-cent move on a $1.50 stock. That's almost 33% in one day. That's just nuts, right? 33% move in one day, and then it retraced all the way back down to here, 173. That's another 20% or something like that. So just massive moves on this stock because it's a penny stock. It is a tiny micro cap stock, and it has a very high short interest right now. So all of these things kind of playing into the fact that it can move wildly. So you have to pay attention to it constantly. This is not one that you want to kind of just buy and then, forget about it for a week or two, because it could do absolutely anything in that kind of time. So that is kind of a risk caveat there. High risk, very high risk, very high reward on this one, guys. Okay, I'm letting you know that. Trying to be very clear about that. Very high risk, very high reward. I would not, if it was my money, I would not be taking a very large position in this because it's very high risk. Okay, so with my particular money, I did not I did not make a large position in it. It's a very small part of one of my portfolios. So let's get a little bit further into the short squeeze potential on it. So we talked about how the float short is just crazy high at over 100%. The short ratio is very short, so it could happen very quickly. One more thing that I like to check is I go over to iBorrowDesk.com, and I want to know what the fee is to short this stock, because that tells me how kind of antsy the short sellers are at holding their positions. Are they going to want to hold them long term? Are they comfortable holding it long term, or do they have to get out of them quick because the fee is very high? So I go over to iBorrowDesk, and I've already got a feeling that the fee is going to be really high because it is a tiny company and it has an extremely high float short. So I have kind of a feeling that when I go over to iBorrowDesk, it's going to be on the front page on that leaderboard. This is my thought process when I was looking into this stock anyway. So I come over here and I'm like, okay, it's not at the top. Maybe I'm wrong. And I scroll down a little bit and it's like, actually, boom, actually there it is. It is on the leaderboard. It's right there. 165% is the fee. If you don't know what this fee is, I've talked about it in a couple of other videos that I've made, but it is something that I've only talked about a couple of times. So I'll go over it real quick. What this fee is that they're talking about here is if you are shorting shares in this company, this is how much it costs you per year to borrow those shares to short. So basically, if you put, let's say, $1,000, if you want to short Guard Force, $1,000, if you held that short position for a year, it would cost you 165% of that $1,000 to hold that position for a year. Now, obviously, nobody is going to want to do that, right? You're going to lose all your money and then some. You're going to lose all $1,000 before the year is even up, right? Because if it was a 100% fee, it would take a year to lose all of your money. So at 165%, you're going to lose it in even less time than that, right? 9 months, 8 months, something like that. Nobody wants to lose money in their investments and in their trading, right? So if you are a short seller of this and this fee is this high, you do not want to be in that position very long. That's what this is telling me, that the short sellers of this stock do not want to be in their short positions very long. They want to get in, short the stock, send the stock down, and then get out before this fee starts eating away at their profits or even losses. So that means, to me, since they want to get out quickly, that means they can be pushed out quickly. So if this stock starts to go up a little bit, if we see it start to creep up, which it is creeping up, that could force the short sellers out. They might start to sell their positions. So as the stock is going up and short sellers sell their positions, that pushes the stock up even faster. It shoots it up higher and faster. It's kind of a catalyst, not a catalyst, what's the word I'm looking for? A compounding effect, right? The stock is going up, short sellers sell their positions, it goes up more, higher, faster, and that's when you get kind of that parabolic, straight up momentum that we saw in GameStop and AMC, back in, what was it, January of 2021, was it? Something like that. That's how you get that hyperbolic short squeeze, big move. So when I see fees that high, 165%, I see short interest over 100%. This to me jumps off the page as just a no-brainer stock that I wanted to be in. Very high risk. I got to keep throwing that caveat out there because I'm making this sound so good, but it is still very high risk. You got to keep that in mind, guys. If you're going to be doing anything with this, please don't do it off of my words in this video alone. Please do your own research. But if you're going to be doing something like this, I cannot stress enough that this is very high risk. Take a small position. It's not financial advice, but that's what I would do. And then the last piece of the puzzle I want to show you guys is a new tool. I haven't shown this on the channel yet. Most of this is behind a paywall, so if you are interested in this kind of stuff, you may want to look into the paid version of it. But something that you can see is the top of the leaderboards for their short squeeze at fintel.io. You go to the fintel.io, you come up here, click on shorts, you click on short squeeze US, and this is their leaderboard. Like I said, almost all of it is locked up. You can't see the names of the companies except for the very top one. But look what we have up at the top of their leaderboard. The exact stock, just by chance, that we're making this video about. It's GuardForce, GFAI. Market cap 50 million. It's right around that range that TradingView was reporting it at 46.88. This stock just moves so much, so fast every day that it's hard to keep track of what the exact market cap is, but it's in that range between 40 to 50 million. Very small company. Anyway, they've got the short flow at 38. That's wildly different from what Finviz is telling us at 101. So that's something to look into. However, even with this much different short float, it is the #1 ranked short squeeze potential stock that they have on their leaderboard, and they give it, I don't know how they make this score. I assume it's, they look at all of these things and kind of put it all together and with weighted averages or something like that, and they give it a score, and it is the #1 score on their website, their leaderboard, at 99.59. I don't know if it looks like this score probably tops out at 100, I'm guessing, but there's lots of other stocks here that you guys could look into if you had access to this. I don't know if I ever will. I just thought it was interesting. As I was doing some research on this, I found that this is at the top of their leaderboard. That borrow fee rate that I was just talking about at iBorrowDesk, 165%. They have that listed as well, just astronomically high. So #1 for their short squeeze list over there at fintel.io. So that's what I've got, guys. Please let me know what you think about the analysis on this company, on this short squeeze potential of this company. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. And if you liked this video, please hit that like button. If you're not a subscriber yet, please consider subscribing. I do videos just like this, some short squeeze potentials. I do some chart pattern type videos. I do some how-tos on TradingView and Finviz, so go check out the channel if you guys like any of that stuff. I'll see you down in the comments below and in the next video. Thanks, guys.